So, World Unified, that's WBC, and WBO, World Super Lightweight Champion, or Junior Welterweight, depending on, or even Light Welterweight, depending who you line yourself up with. Terence Bud Crawford just got sentenced to 90 days in jail. Now, he's just found out today, a couple of days removed from his title defenses against John Molina Jr. He scored a 8th round technical knockout. But there was a situation that happened earlier this year with Bud Crawford, and it had to do with some work that he got done on his car at this auto body shop. If you're unfamiliar with the incident, he wanted a paint job on a car, a car for a relative of his, and so he made a down payment, and the car sat for a while as he waited for the work to get done. And work finally got done. Well, no, I'm sorry. Well, it's debatable on what work got done, how much, but either way, he wasn't happy with the work that got done. And he let the proprietor know, he let the guy know who was in charge of the shop that he was taking the vehicle. And the owner of the shop told him that he didn't want, that he was pretty much taking the car. It was a paint job. It was an 84 Monte Carlo. He was going to give it to his nephew, and it was a $2,500 paint job. So he put half of that up. Terence complained about the quality of the work that was done and the amount of time it took. And this is 6 months, which, now that piece of it, I'm not sure why it took that long. It doesn't take 6 months. So Crawford and his crew, his homeboys, came down and told the owner, a guy named Nelson, that they were taking the car. So Nelson, figuring, I guess, they were on their way or what have you, he put an engine underneath the hydraulic lift, like a 600-pound engine, to kind of, in hopes that Crawford will come and see it and just do an about face and go the other way. Crawford came into the store, and they moved the engine out of the way, and lowered the car to the floor. So Nelson claimed that there was over $3,000 worth of damage to the hydraulic lift, and with the fluid and oils and what have you that got spilled onto the floor. And so Nelson also said that he felt intimidated. Crawford never made any type of verbally expressed any type of threats to Nelson, but Nelson felt threatened, and there was also a surveillance video which was almost 30 minutes long, and it was used in court to show what the deal was. So Nelson the judge, the hang judge in this case, Judge Hendrix. And here's what I really want a bit of understanding on. The hang judge, Judge Hendrix, quote, "You've continued to act as if you are above the law, and you are not." Now, outside of this incident, Nelson, or I should say Crawford, he had some traffic violations, various traffic violations, but nothing related to violence or anything, breaking and entering or theft or what have you. So there were 3 misdemeanors. There was with the third one being dropped, and the state's attorney told the judge that Crawford wasn't truthful during the pre-sentence investigation, PSI, pre-sentence investigation, where they kind of, it's like a fact-gathering mission. And so 3 misdemeanors, one of which was dismissed, and the other 2 where, I'm going to say this, especially if you don't have a prior criminal record, I would say 99% of the time, according to the sentencing guidelines, you're going to get the fine, you're going to get the community service. In this case, the hang judge, stop calling her that. She sentenced Terence to 90 days in jail, along with 120 hours of community service and $6,000 restitution to the body shop owner, and undergoing random drug and alcohol tests. Now, the drug and alcohol test thing, some people look at it and say, hey, that's a stereotype thing. What's up with the drug? That actually may be the escape plan here, or the portion of the sentencing where it's a dangerous game, but there's a way where, and if you've seen it happen before, where you can kind of claim an alcohol type of situation or problem or drug type of thing, where counseling will kind of supersede the sentence. I doubt if something like that would happen, but under this sentencing guideline, Crawford will do about 53 days. So Crawford showed up, came in, kind of dressed with his sweatsuit and his sneakers, and they took him away immediately. I mean, there was no turn yourself in, or so. This is that 1%, in other words. And when I say 99%, I'm talking about Joe Q public here. Ordinarily, especially as I stated, without a criminal record, you're going to get the fine, the probation, the community service. He got 90 days, plus 2 years probation, plus 120 hours community service, plus $6,000 fine, plus random drug testing, plus random alcohol tests. Random. If Terence Bud Crawford is a beer drinker, for example, based on the stipulations of this drug, this drug and alcohol testing, he might not even be able to sip a beer when he's not training. And it's just that time of the year where he likes to go fishing. He wants to go fishing. He takes some beer with him. I don't know if he drinks, but this does seem a bit harsh. It goes against the odds. And to be honest, if you have any kind of name in a case like this, most definitely, I'll even take it 1% higher. 100%. Let's say 99.9% of the time, you're going to walk with those fines or what have you. So they took him away. His team is saying that they're going to file an appeal, and that during the appeal he'll kind of be out. So that's where we stand with Terence Bud Crawford. Now, we wish him the best. I mean, he's a father. And even though Terence has an edge inside the ring, definitely, and outside the ring, he has a little edge to him. Listen, you got to take into consideration the man's past, which, once again, to my knowledge, just has to do with violations related to driving, probably tickets for parking or speeding or what have you, but nothing along these lines. And I'm assuming when she made the statement, you continue to act as if you are above the law, and you are not. I assume this has to do with that PSI, that pre-sentencing. This seems... Listen, I'm not going to defend people if they do something and they're guilty. However, the way the system is designed, and in a situation like this, it does seem harsh. And I'm talking about a person now, not a boxer, not a perception, not a character, but just a person. So, 2 of the 3 misdemeanors: property damage and disorderly conduct. And then the one that got dismissed was trespassing. So each had a maximum fine of $500 and 6 months in jail. Misdemeanors now, 3 of them, and they dropped 1. So. And then one of the guys in his circle who was at the scene, she dismissed trespassing, property damage, and disorderly conduct charges against him. A cat named Wayne Sullivan. So you have to wonder, I mean, what's the deal? I guess you can't ask the judge, well, why'd you drop it? Did you just go after someone who has a name? I mean, listen, and you said this before, when you talk about Nebraska, when you talk about the franchises, I mean, you got Lincoln, you got those Cornhuskers, the University of Nebraska, and then, well, you got that other franchise, Terence Crawford. So, I'm not sure about this one. I just... So there's a $10,000 bail posted on appeal, and the lawyer said that he's hoping that he'll be released Thursday night, and this will go on appeal, and maybe he'll get to spend time with his family, and maybe this will get resolved after Christmas. But the judge held her ground, and she doesn't seem to be playing around. So that's what you call a warning shot that was fired. And then there's a video out somewhere, I think at the local Omaha newspaper, showing him being led away in handcuffs with his hoodie on and his Air Jordans and what have you. I don't know about this one. What I do know is that we don't want Terence. I mean, none of us know who Terence Bud Crawford is. We relate to guys. We see the good things that people do. You got to talk about the bad. We don't create news. That's the problem with the media today. We report news on this end. We don't create news, and that's where the media has gone these days, to creating news. Got to talk about the bad. Like someone mentioned about Muhammad Ali. I mean, hey, there's plenty of bad to go along with the good. In Crawford's case, this situation was bad, and more than likely, he was wrong. And listen, his status in Omaha may create, and listen, this is the way the world is, may create a sense of entitlement. However, I'm sure Terence Crawford's lawyer, who is getting a paycheck, this Matthew Kaler, don't know, don't care. He's been paid to ensure that Terence does the right thing. Now, I don't know what he said during during the phase with the pre-sentence investigation. Obviously, it was something that upset the judge. The lawyer has to be on top of things, but if guidelines like this constitute pretty much a rubber stamp, especially with someone of let's say, a local celebrity status, to be safe, since Crawford isn't a crossover name until he goes out and he beats a Pacquiao, and then people are like, hey, he beat Pacquiao, let me follow this kid. You understand what I'm saying? So let's call it local celebrity status. If it's pretty much a rubber stamp where you're going to get a certain amount of time, while part of me wants to talk about his representation, his legal representative, the other half of me says, I mean, these things are usually automatic, usually granted, usually a rubber stamp where it says, all right. Especially when you investigate a background and don't see other criminal activity. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the statement bothers me. If you're upset with what you think were some shenanigans during the pre-sentence investigation, that's one thing. But when you just read the wording, you've continued to act as if you are above the law, and you are not. It kind of rubs me the wrong way, because it's suggesting that you know something more as a judge than you're letting on, that maybe the rest of the world knows. And listen, if that's the case, fine. However, you're obligated to look at the specifics of what he's being charged for, not what you may have learned through some gossip or through just a prejudiced or a preconceived or just a fact-finding mission unrelated to the case, because then it shows bias when you do that. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just a little bothered by the statement. So this will play out. You want to listen. Terence Crawford is maybe a fight or two away from the world being his. The world to be his. I mean, he's 1 or 2 wins away from that, and you don't want to see a progression in the ring halted with something like this. So, are the odds that Terence Crawford did wrong? Sure. As a lawyer, should you be more Should you err on the side of caution? Sure. But you know, these lawyers and prosecutors, they talk things out during the trial and say, well, look, you're going to push for jail time, so on and so forth. And let me just throw you another 90. 99% of the time, whatever the prosecutor recommends, the judge will say, okay, next case. So I don't know if that conversation took place. I don't know much of anything right now. Hopefully Crawford will learn from this. Hopefully he'll be, even if the ruling somehow gets changed and she also, because they wanted, I guess they looked into house arrest, what have you, and the judge quickly shut that down and said no eligibility for house arrest. So that part, that's out the window. And the attorney mentioned that the case was out of Bud's character. So it's almost an admission. Okay, all right, whatever. You did wrong, fine. Just read something. Prosecutors didn't recommend jail time, only probation. See, didn't see that. And just glancing through, wow, I guess I kind of like to not be influenced by other websites or what have you. But at the bottom of some paperwork I printed out, I see that it says, so let me go back to that. Like 99% of the time this boils down to the judge, and that's the bottom line. And on occasion, I mean, very few occasions, unless the judge is up for office again, or have to win some type of vote, or they're trying to switch jobs and need some votes, or whatever the case is, which makes it political. Once in a blue moon, a judge will go against the prosecutor's recommendations, which it seems to be in this case. Wow, that's so. Okay. See a couple of comments under this printout talking about Omaha and black men and what have you. I won't go into that. And when I say prejudice, I'm not talking about race, because there's a difference between racism and prejudice. I'm not talking about race when I say prejudice. I'm talking about facts from maybe the judge learned of some things from Crawford's past. Speculation from Crawford's past, which prejudiced her against him, and you can't do that. It's just I'm kind of, without knowing everything, or not without being an insider, that comment that she made just, it bothers me a bit. So we'll keep our eyes on this. We'll see tomorrow if Crawford is on the street, if he isn't already. And Terence Crawford immediately sentenced and handcuffed and taken to prison, taken to jail, I should say. Let us know your thoughts, fans. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Fight Journal. Check us out at thefightjournal.com. If you see a blue and white screen, go to the bottom. That means you're in mobile phone mode. Go to the bottom and select View Full Site. And when you do, on the top left side and the bottom, middle, and the bottom left side, you'll see a little box where you can type your email in, and you can follow our website. All of our articles, videos, interviews, stories, what have you, will come directly to your email. You won't have to follow us. You can just check your email and we'll be there. And you definitely want to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be giving away money in 2017. We're going to be giving away some prizes, so you definitely want to, and one of the requirements is that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, so give us a shout out. We'll catch you on the next one.